Hey folks, Steve here with a special video for you today. This is more like a public service announcement or a reminder, or I'm not sure what. But I wanted to call attention to GMT's yearly P500 sale, which, if you're a customer of GMT, you probably already know about this, or you are, um, already getting ready to make your own purchases when the sale goes live. I thought I'd bring this up to get a couple of things out of the way. Yes, I'm sorry, there's still delays in getting more Nations in Arms videos out. I am in one of the valleys of my free time, so I think in an older video I talked about being in peaks and valleys of free time, somewhat driven by my professional work life, family life, and then working my way through grad school. Well, all of that, particularly grad school, is making things tight from a free time perspective. So I will get back to the Nations in Arms series just as soon as I can, but I felt like I could take a little bit of free time for myself to do this video and just hit some important topics for this. So that's what we're going to do here today. It should be a shorter video, I hope, but we'll see. Um, when the GMT sale comes around every year, it's always a hard thing to process for me at this point because I'm now reaching a point in my gaming uh, my gaming stature that I am starting to run out of game shelf space. I could expand my shelf space, but that would start to put a hurt on the logistics of just how much space I have to work with, and is maybe more than is reasonable. And so I have to take a little bit more of a discriminating eye against my game collection and what games I continue to buy. I still have lots of P500 games that are, well, that have arrived this year and will continue to arrive as they are published. But I am having to start to look at some games that I haven't played in a while, and I'm not sure that I'm ever going to play again, to maybe get rid of to make space for the new stuff that I am more interested in. So, older things that maybe I've just maybe moved away from, like Commands and Color Ancients. I'm not really playing that. I enjoy it, I like it, but I'm not playing it much anymore. And I'm much more interested in playing Great Battles of History because my tastes have become a little more geared towards in-depth games or games with higher simulation fidelity, I guess, is maybe one way to put it. So for me, I'm like, oh gosh, all these savings, but what games could I buy? So let's talk through this. If you're not familiar with the way this works, you can read this whole thing. The link is out on the GMT webpage. Scroll down. They've got it listed here. It's just published the other day. P500 sale. Um, and so uh, they talk about it here. Basically, the way it works is starting on November 15th, 5 a.m. Pacific time. So that's 8 a.m. for you folks on the East Coast. I will be, well, I might be up around that time for work, so I might be able to jump on it. Um, it will run for just a few days out to the 21st, so almost a week. Uh, and the way it would basically work is if you have purchased a game via P500 for the year and you've received that P500 game, for each one that you've done that, you will get 50% off all in-stock GMT products, except for there's a few exceptions, and this is having to do with timing of release and a couple of things of their games. And then there's some third-party stuff that you can potentially get the 50% discount for as well. So any customer to whom we have shipped P500 items through August of last year to the end of October. And they're even nice enough to list, hey, if you got these, then, from P500, then you're going to get a 50% off, for a game. Which means you could, like me, have a number of games that you could purchase for 50% off. So if you look at this list, there's plenty out there. I did buy Battles for the Shenandoah, but I didn't buy it on P500. I did do CDG Solo System, Conquest and Consequence. Let's see. Musket and Pike Dual Pack I definitely did. Pacific War I did. Several others that I went in on. Mission Pack 1 for last 100 yards I did. And there might be... Oh, Vietnam I definitely did. So I have quite a number. You can order one item in stock with 50% off. So the important thing is to use this link here where it says any in stock, because in navigating the GMT website, sometimes you could stumble upon a game product page or something that is not in stock. You can natively get to that view by going to the games, and then in stock games option right here will help with that. So you can use the direct link in the newsletter. You can navigate and get you to the same place here either way. And there's a lot of good stuff that's still in print or is available that you can get. 1918, 1919. We played that on the channel. Good game, fun game. And when you look at 50% off, I mean, some of these games are still pretty cheap. And this is one of those things that I have to give GMT some props for, because they're quite good at brand loyalty. And other game publishers are good too. But this is one of those situations where when you look at P500, and I'm just going to bounce over to P500 for a second. Any sec now. Okay, Battles for the Shenandoah expansion. Okay, that's not a good example. Let me switch gears for a second. Let's look at Clash of Sovereigns. This will be a good example. So, Clash of Sovereigns, which I do have on pre-order. I'm not logged in, so it doesn't say that, but I do. And I'm looking forward to it, is $45 for P500 versus almost... Well, I'm trying to think, whatever that calculation is, $70 versus $45. It's not twice as expensive, but it's a decent chunk more expensive after P500. So when it comes to P500 games from GMT, if it's a game you think you're going to enjoy, then you should do the P500, because it's going to be that much cheaper than the MSRP, later down the road or wherever else you're going to buy it from. So if you think you want it, you should get it, because you're going to have a pretty deep discount versus what it'll be down the road, right? So you're incentivized to get P500 games when they're on P500, right? Easy. But they've done this P500 sale every year, and it always, I think, has always worked the same way for the last several years, where by buying, a game like this, where I'm only really paying $45 versus $69, you don't want to use this as a direct example because this game hasn't come out yet, but any of the other games that we mentioned, any of these other games here, you're buying at a pretty decent discount, and if you think far enough ahead, that by purchasing that game on P500 and getting it in the P500 shipment, you are going to get another game 50% off, which will be either better than the P500 price of that game that you're buying after the fact, or better, right? So, in a couple of years, if you were going to buy Clash of Sovereigns, technically you would be buying Clash of Sovereigns, if you decided to buy it with a 50% off coupon situation, you might only be paying $35 instead of $45, right? So you are incentivized to buy games from GMT at P500, and then because you're a cool person supporting GMT with the early purchase pre-order promise kind of thing, you are going to get another game in the future for 50% off. Is effectively what that means. Now, I buy a lot of, and I P500, a lot of GMT stuff. So I have a lot of potential coupons. I like to think of them as coupons, but I have plenty of opportunities to purchase games from GMT with a 50% off. It's just that I've already pre-ordered most of the games that I am interested in at this point. So when I look at the in-stock games, I either already have it or I'm not interested in it at all. Like, I don't play 18X games. I just don't. I haven't done it. Maybe someday I will. I don't know. But I have 1989. I have this 1918, 1919. I have Serbian muss sterben. I don't have some of these other games here, so for me, it is the more difficult thing is this time of year is to find out if there is a game that I want to get 50% off or not, in addition of all the other stuff that I've got. And again, I mentioned like I've got to be pretty choosy these days because I'm running out of shelf space. I still have plenty of games that are on pre-order that will eventually show up, and I'm going to have to start looking at some games to get rid of that I either don't like as much or I don't think I'm going to play anymore, like Commands and Color Ancients or something like that. There's some other games that may be in that bucket, though I'm loath to get rid of any game. So for me, trying to look at this list, it is very difficult. I will call out Battles of the Warrior Queen. This would be a very good option. So if you remember my foul up video describing the Great Battles of Julius Caesar and the content that it included, if you purchase Great Battles of Julius Caesar Deluxe Edition, the only set of content for that part of the Great Battles of History saga, the only one that you're missing is Battles of the Warrior Queen, and it is apparently still in stock and available from GMT. And if you have a 50% off coupon instance to make use of, you could get Battles of the Warrior Queen for $10. Now you still got to pay for shipping, so that kind of changes. You know, it's not exactly 50% off the final expenditure, but if you just flat out right now, right? If you P500'd, is that a verb? If you did the P500 pre-order for Great Battles of Julius Caesar Deluxe Edition, you could turn around and use your 50% off for the last bit of content for that Great Battles of History. I don't know what I want to call it. Whatever I referred to it before, that segment of the Great Battles of History stuff, this would be it right here. $20, 50% off to 10. You're in really good shape. They've got other stuff out here, the expansion for Death Valley. So again, you know, maybe if you didn't P500 the Death Valley expansion, but you did P500 Death Valley, that's your opportunity to get a 50% off expansion. It just came out, or in the last few weeks came out. For me, what I might get is this game. So this is part of a reprint series that has taken quite a long time to come out, but is a pretty in-depth monster game coverage of Barbarossa. Standard game price is $90. If I have 50% off, like, do I want to spend $90 on a game that I'm not sure I'll get to play right away? I don't know. But $45 is much more doable in terms of like convincing myself it's worthwhile, and maybe I can P500 the Army Group North and South games that are still on the P500 and give this a roll. You know, considering OCS doesn't currently cover much of Barbarossa, technically only covering what goes on near Moscow, if you consider that an extension, you know, part of Barbarossa in aggregate. So Smolensk and technically Guderian's Blitzkrieg and I guess some parts of Case Blue, but feels like a lot of that stuff is like that's the later part of Barbarossa. OCS does not cover the initial actions of Barbarossa. Excuse me. So this game and its brethren, when they are released, would be a good fit for that, for something a little more intense than the Dark Valley, for instance. So I see this as maybe one good option for one of my coupons that I have. I have quite a number, so I can kind of just pick whatever's left in the catalog that I have any remote interest in. But like I said, I either already have a lot of what I want from GMT, and I have a lot, or it's just on P500 pre-order, and I don't know when it's going to come out. So that's kind of where things are at. You can get some Combat Commander expansions that are out there. You can get counter trays even. I think the only other thing, and someone's going to laugh when I say this, the only other one that I was really fixing on maybe getting, it must be on page 4, is, don't laugh, it's Storm Over Asia. So I give uh, a World at War a lot of crap, and I think it deserves it. I think that game deserves a lot of crap for the way it's set up and what it takes to learn it, and what is not really a complicated game, but they make it complicated with the way that the rules are laid out, and how anybody tries to learn that game is very. I think if a good developer took a few swings at a World at War, it could be a much improved situation. I have a World at War. I still have Gathering Storm, which is the pre-war Europe stuff, and of course they had the prequel for the Asian theater come out, Storm Over Asia. It's $105, which is pretty expensive for I think what you're really getting in this game. Now there's a bunch of stuff here, but I mean for the type of game that you're really going to experience, it feels like a lot of money. Like I don't know that it should be this much, but for 50% off, and then it's really $52, that's a little bit closer to what I would be willing to pay for it. And that could be, this game and Barbarossa may be really good 50% off picks for me in particular. So there you go, guys. For all the gaming I'm not doing right now, I'm at least still trying to stay keyed in. So there's your reminder, guys. The P500 sale is coming up. It is just a few days away, or a little over, or a little less than a week. A little less than a week away. The P500 sale will be here. You'll want to be on early on the Pacific coast if you're looking for this, or if you're in a different time zone. That may be a weird time for you. Don't hesitate. Some games may get hit really hard, and I don't know. What sucks is you just never know when something is close to being out of stock. So, um, get in there. Don't give the GMT website the hug of death and make their website crash. But pick out what you want to get. Pick it now. Figure out how many coupons you technically have, and be prepared to submit that in. I've got so many GMT games. It's hard to beat that 50% off, right? And I really like the idea that it does 50% off is a pretty deep discount. It gives you that option, that ability to pick something that you passed over in the past, that you weren't willing to pre-order, but it turned out maybe is a really cool game, or something that is getting a lot of good buzz, and you have a chance to go back and get it for cheap. I just think that's a fantastic opportunity, and felt like it was good to remind folks of this. If for some reason you had not already been made aware, this is probably very redundant for you, and if you're sticking around for 18 minutes to hear me talk about this, I greatly appreciate that. But yeah, let me know what games you might want to be pre-ordering in the comment section down below. I'm sure there are many people who have already pre-ordered the games of interest from GMT, and the coupons don't do you much good, like they don't do much good for me. But maybe I'm going to go get to pick on a World at War a little bit more, and maybe complain about Storm Over Asia. But I'll give it, we'll give it a look. We'll see what happens. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope this was enjoyable to some degree, or informative, or helpful in some degree. We'll catch you later. I will get back to Nations in Arms just as soon as I can get more free time opened up for myself. But in the meantime, take care. Keep on gaming.